Hello and welcome to this roundtable about diversity. Diversity is a very broad term, and for example, UNESCO adopted in 2001 the Universal Declaration on Cultural Diversity, which states, among others, that culture takes diverse forms across time and space. This diversity is embodied in the uniqueness and plurality of the identities of the groups and societies making up humankind. As a source of exchange, innovation, and creativity, cultural diversity is as necessary for humankind as biodiversity is for nature. My name is Silja Fischer. I'm the Secretary General of the International Music Council, which is the largest network of organizations and institutions working in the field of music across the world. And I'm joined today by three colleagues with diverse approaches to the topic that interests us today. Welcome to Hayat Chaoiu, Merlijn Twaalfhoven, and Roula Abou. For those of you on the live stream who may not have the book that we all have in the room, I will say a few words about everybody. Hayat took up vocal studies with Professor Barbara Schlick at the Hochschule für Musik und Tanz in Cologne. She completed her studies in vocal pedagogy, artistic education, and concert exams. Since then, she has been singing in the oratorio genre and works with the intercultural jazz formation Ufermann. She is a vocal coach and in charge with the Department for Vocal Studies at the Bergische Musikschule with focus on intercultural music education. Welcome, Hayat. Merlijn Twaalfhoven, I hope I pronounced it correctly, studied compositions and viola at the AHK Amsterdam Conservatory. He is a creative researcher of complex social problems and designed many unconventional music and theater projects. He worked in conflict areas and refugee camps and is founder of the Turn Club, a collaboration of art professionals and bridge builders who approach social issues with an artistic mindset. And Roula Abou from Lebanon. Roula is manager and singer of the Hayat Choir from Lebanon, which is a member of the Arab Choral Network. Roula is also vice president of the International Music Council and board member of IFCM. She graduated as a social worker, but chose to work in the music management field. In 2010, she succeeded to join together social work and music management by becoming the coordinator of the Hayat Choir social projects, which won the 2015 IMC Music Rights Award. Welcome, Roula. Welcome, Merlijn. Welcome, Hayat. Diversity. The European Choral Association, which is the organizer, one of the co-organizers of Leading Voices, together with the International Music Council, embarked on a journey 2 years ago, trying to address the issue how cultural networks can address several selected SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, including SDG 10, which is about reducing inequalities. And there are many targets under this goal. One we dealt specifically with was 10.2 on promoting universal social, economic, and political inclusion. We also took the types of people we were talking about from the text of this target, which was namely, by 2030, empower and promote the social, economic, and political inclusion of all, irrespective of age, sex, disability, race, ethnicity, origin, religion, or economic or other status. In addition to these statuses, we included sexual orientation and gender identity, which we felt were insufficiently represented in the SDG itself. In this project, we have used the term D, E, I, and B, diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, to dive into this complex topic from different angles. And indeed, I believe that our discussion today is very likely to actually touch upon these diverse angles. And therefore, I should like to share food for thought, definitions that we used in our project. Diversity is a statement of demographic composition. It is not concerned with the quality of relationships between different individuals, but is essential in the inclusive organization. If an organization has a low level of diversity, the question must be asked, why are people from different backgrounds and with different characteristics not present? How are they being excluded, whether consciously or unconsciously? Equity, as opposed to equality, concerns treating people as individuals with individual needs, whereas equality would see the same level and kind of support given to every member of a team. Equity would ensure that each member of a team received the support that they needed. This is a necessary principle to work by if people are to feel that they belong in an organization. Inclusion. An organization may have a more or less inclusive environment. An inclusive environment will foster psychological safety, feel supportive and respectful, be free from discrimination or harassment, and have procedures in place to deal with them should they occur. Belonging. Whereas inclusion relates to the nature of an organization's environment, belonging refers to an individual's sense of being included. This can be broken down into two main components: feeling valued for uniqueness and the ability to be authentic. The combination of these allows a person to feel that they belong without having to conform to a particular norm. Assessing perceptions of belonging among members of an organization or choir can therefore indicate how inclusive the environment of your organization is. So my question to you is, how do you relate to this notion of diversity, of belonging, of personally in your work? Belonging, equity, you may choose the angle that you wish to share with us as a kickoff to our discussion. Hayat, would you like to start?
Yeah, I can.
Thank you.
I switch on the microphone. We got some of these questions, so that we, in order to prepare, and of course I had some thoughts. I won't express them as beautifully as you did now, but just my personal notion is that in my work, or no, let's talk about society. It's not enough to just to have in one spot different people, whether socially or in questions of gender or culturally and so on and so on. It's not enough to have these different people in one society, but it's important to be aware that they or we are there, and to appreciate it as a richness, so that all these different aspects and points belong to a whole big one, and that's what I personally would say is diversity in my opinion. So that's how I work.
Thank you, Hayat. May I give over the floor to Merlijn?
Well, yes, I'm indeed a composer. So in any environment, any situation, I like to create new things. And then if it's possible to include everyone's voice, like really not just sing my piece, but for me to know what is the quality of everyone who's there, what's the contribution of everyone. If I succeed, then the composition is something that we actually created together. So that is not just an ideal, because it sounds nice to say this, we do this together, we make this together, but in practice, it really needs sometimes breaking the patterns that you're in. Because a certain pattern, for example, of rehearsing or of organizing or of inviting is already a filter. It filters out the typical type of people. Sometimes you have a filter that makes extrovert people to come in. Otherwise, a filter maybe more introvert people, and so you can filter on characteristics. But very often the filter is the group itself. If the group itself is very white or very old or very from the town and not from the rural area, then that it will just strengthen itself because people feel I belong there or not. So how to break that? It's very often to see where is the minority and to especially embrace maybe the voice of the minority in order to make that voice more strong and to avoid the dominance of the majority. But I deal with it as in a creative way. I see it really as a way of creating a good piece of music or a performance or event together. Yeah, so it's really something that everyone feels an active contributor instead of just a participant. Yeah.
Thank you. So it's really the co-creation process that is important, and maybe also reflecting to what I said about equity, maybe specifically embrace a group that otherwise may not feel included. Thank you. Roula, how do you relate to this notion of diversity?
It's very interesting how everyone sees it from his own perspective. Very interesting already. Well, I come from a country which you can say the title of Lebanon is diversity. I was telling today during one lecture I had that in our choir, in Faiha choir, people when they started attending our rehearsals from Lebanon or even abroad, they said, "Wow, this is like a small Lebanon," and we didn't do it by purpose. It was like this. This is the country. We have 18 sects in Lebanon, religious sects. We have refugees from Palestine, from Syria, and from Iraq, and other minorities, religious or nationalities. So this is the country, and this is how it's going on. So we discovered that we are a pilot project, what an example of a choir gathering all together, but we didn't do it on purpose. It's like this. This is a small Lebanon. But yes, when it comes to inclusion, we had really, through this choral singing, everyone has his own responsibility and his own role, and here is what I call equity. So everyone has his responsibility, and it's equity and responsibilities too. We go all together, we succeed all together, or we don't all together. So we have to hold all this responsibility together. And for the belonging, actually we talk about our diversity, we talk about the difference, and this is very important. I'm not with this idea of if we are different, we don't have to talk about differences, we have to talk only about something common between us. No, diversity is richness. We have to talk about, we have to share our culture together, our traditions together, and everyone should be proud of what he is. And then when we are proud of what we are, then we can accept the others, and then we can live with the others. If not, if we will deny what we come from, then we cannot accept the others, and others will not accept us. So yeah, this is very important, and I see it very clear in the choir, actually. The way you talk about it, from this perspective, I see it really clear.
Thank you, Roula, for relating your experience with the Faiha choir, its composition, its richness, its diversity to the different definitions I shared with you. Hayat, Roula spoke about also the wealth of the Faiha choir as an interreligious group. And I know that you are also very much into interreligious and intercultural music education. Maybe you could share with us one or another project where you feel that this approach to diversity, equity, belonging, inclusion really became a real thing in your work?
Yeah, like Roula, I have a choir. I have an international female choir in Wuppertal, where I live and work. And this choir is called Women of Wuppertal, because Wuppertal is a very diverse town, and all these women in our choir originally come from everywhere, yeah, from all the continents. They are all united in this choir. And of course, we are very aware, as you've said, yeah, about our differences, but also about what connects us and what belongs to all humankind. Yeah, like there are emotions like or feelings like love and fear and anger. That's so human. We cannot say these people are like that and the others are like that. No, it's something that belongs to all of us. So we also speak about what belongs to all of us. And of course, as you said, we sing, of course, too. Yeah, we don't speak only, but we sing in the languages that the women bring with them. So we see the competences. We don't want to begin with the deficits, but with the competences. Yeah, which language do you have? So it's a rich thing that you can bring, even if your German level of language is not as good as it is with me. Now, for example, but what also happens, and that's the reality, yeah, although all of us think we're very tolerant and we are aware of what we have in this group, still there are, I call them intercultural misunderstandings, yeah, that happen in such a group, yeah, because of religion, because of cultural background, because of gender, yeah, because of so many things that I could count now, yeah. So then when these situations happen, then it's of course time to deal with it and to realize the own stereotypes we find in ourselves, because we all have these stereotypes, yeah, and we all have a certain frame of thinking, but then it's up to us to see, can I open up this frame? Can I open the window and maybe take another position and perspective? Yeah, so it's not always, as I said yesterday, peace, love, and happiness, because of course it's an ideal we have, and we want to be a little microcosmos of the world, yeah. But there are these difficulties as well, and then it's up to us to see how we can deal with them. Yeah, that's the choir, and you're right. There's another project. I didn't want to talk about that too much. It's that I'm myself. I'm a singer in a interreligious jazz formation, and we try to combine the essential target of our religions, and actually it's peace. Yeah, so that's why one of our programs is called Salam. Yeah, Salam, Shalom, Frieden. Yeah, I'm really very involved in these subjects. Yeah, my heart beats for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, do you sometimes feel a dilemma, because certain topics can also be very connected with a certain culture, especially if it's religious songs or whatever, and to do it in the diversity actually might also take away the power from something.
Yeah.
So, or can you find other dilemmas that you see in this?
You're right. And sometimes I see myself as, or my role as a kind of midwife. Yeah, it's not me who has the truth, but I try to ask questions so that the singers in the choir find the find the solution. Yeah, I try to ask. Yeah, and then try to find out if we can find a good way to deal with it, because everyone is in a new situation. Yeah, it's not anymore. It's not what we. It's not the past anymore. Yeah, we try to create a new present, and it's now, not yesterday and not tomorrow, but the now that has to be created in that moment. Yeah.
Merlijn, you asked the question about dilemma, which means you feel you have encountered situations where you had this dilemma, and how did you overcome it?
Well, I had specifically to think of a kind of festival a while ago in Amsterdam, where there was a theater, and they invited all kinds of, let's say, different cultures that live in Amsterdam who had their religious celebrations. So you had a Sufi ritual and other Binti and different things from Suriname and other, different migrant groups had their own things. But the audience was actually white. That was not their intention, of course. They wanted the festival that it was attended by everyone, but since it's a cultural institution in the center of Amsterdam, well, a lot of white people came to watch this type of specific Sufi ritual. And there were two things. I thought it was beautiful because it was a richness of the culture. It was very nice to see the rituals or to see and it was awkward because you feel, okay, are we watching this as just as a spectator? And of course, I took part in this Sufi dance ritual, so you're really involved in it. But it also felt weird to do this for 1 hour without knowing all the background and the big tradition, just to do this ecstatic dancing together and then have a cup of tea, and that was that was it. So it was double. I don't say it's bad or it's good. It has a strange tension. Yeah, strange thing.
Roula, how do these two examples that we just heard relate to what you experienced with the Fire Choir in Lebanon? Dilemma, intercultural misunderstanding, or also the topic of audiences and mediation, if I may use this word, mediation between cultures.
Yeah. This is very interesting, actually. I'm trying to get your point, how you felt about it. And why is it not normal that all the audience was white? I don't know. Anyway, for Hayat Choir, we have, not only with Hayat Choir, a lot of our social projects. We have many stories, but it's a little bit funny, especially with the traditions and culture. I remember with the Lebanese Palestinian choir we had. It was a choir. It was in 2009. We started a choir after a war in one Palestinian camp, one big Palestinian camp in Lebanon, and we did it between Palestinians in the camp and Lebanese from villages around the camp, because this war created a little bit of tension between both sides. I remember in the first rehearsal, we asked from everyone to make a circle and hold hands and sing together and close our eyes. And where we saw that, okay, there's two semicircles. The guys here, the ladies here, and no one is daring. So I took one, and my conductor took another one, and I cannot forget how the guy who I was taking, he was shaking like this. Maybe this is the first time in his life touching a woman in his hand. So it's something like this related directly to to the traditions, to where he comes from, but it changed with the time. The first time we were doing Ave Maria in Hayat Choir, because we Sometimes we sing religious, Islamic and Christian. Two actually of the choir who were Muslims refused to sing Ave Maria. For them, it's they don't want to sing it, and the conductor, who is Christian, gave them all the freedom. You can just go have a rest, and you don't sing it with us. And they couldn't. When they heard the music and the harmony, they couldn't. They said, "Okay, we will sing it, whatever it is." So music really helps. Overcoming all these barriers, and when they see that they are not losing anything, they are just trying to share with their friends what belongs to them, but we are also sharing all together everything. This is enriching, definitely, and this is very important for the whole world, for the humanity. Actually, if you can live with the others, his traditions, and respect him, and someone share with him, sometimes share also with him. This is good for us all to be good together. So,
indeed, I think respect is a key word here. Respect for each other, for each other's tradition and cultures. I was also thinking that when we talk about diversity and inclusion, these notions are very much related also to access barriers. And I was also listening to your example of this intercultural festival, Multikulti, as we say in German, with a predominantly white audience. So what are your thoughts? Is it because the population of the city, which is very multicultural, doesn't feel invited? Because you also spoke about filters by invitation, etc. Is the communication not inclusive enough to make everybody feel invited and welcome and having the right to a seat in this festival?
I think it is, maybe pretty simple. The setting of a concert or a theater is actually a very modern Western invention. To put a stage and to have people seated like this, we invented this maybe in 150 years ago, like that. The big concert halls, they were opened, the same as museums, they were all open to the end of the 19th century, really as a Western thing. We love to collect stuff, mainly from colonies, and show these rich things in glass boxes, and then say, oh, nice. And the same with music, we put this on stage, and it doesn't matter if this is a religious piece or a piece from a certain tradition, we just listen to it, oh, nice, it's nice. I dare to say that in all cultures, except this Western, where we are, and through all the ages, all the art was always connected to the place or the moment in the season or the religious connotation. Art could not survive without it. It was like art without the environment is like a fish with no water. So it is really natural. I learned, for example, in the Japanese culture, the word for music, the word for art is all inventions of the 19th century to make a name for Western art or Western music, because in traditional Japanese art, it was always the name of the festival. So you had maybe a spring festival or a harvest festival or a winter celebration, and the music connected to the winter celebration, it was called winter celebration and not music. Because music, it was costume, it was food, it was religion, everything connected. So the whole notion of cutting an artistic thing out of a cultural body, that is a very thing, you need to get used to it, We learn to think this way, but that's really, I believe, a Western approach. So if you make a festival and you say like this has all kind of cultural events, this is like anatomy. You show all kinds of intestines and body parts out of a human body. Well, that's something for a specialist, you know. I, as an audience, I'm not interested. I'm interested to meet a person, a whole, a unity. I don't know about meeting only someone's kidneys. So I can imagine this festival was like almost like a shop where you have the kidneys, the brains, the lungs, and they thought like, why? Where's the unity? So this is a bit how I started thinking about it. Also, if you like to make more inclusive events, maybe we have to think different of the notion of what means art or music. And let's see, how can we connect it? How is it connected? And if there is, for example, in a choir that I have, or in a group, if there is people with Jewish backgrounds, instead of, we can ask, can we sing a Jewish song? But what about celebrating? Can we perform in a celebration, Jewish celebration? Or can we, it has this type of things. So I feel there's a lot to discover if we really let go of the notion that it's just music or just art, and we embrace much more the story or a broader thing.
So more thinking of the content and go away from the format that we present.
Well, this format, that is already a statement. And of course, you can find museums all over the world. You can find concert halls all over the world. But I believe it's part of a Western thing that became globalized. But it is still a pretty Western concept.
Roula, you would like to react? I see you
just,
burning.
Because you remind me of, the way we're talking about the multiculti. I love it. Festivals. I remember our participation in Musica Sacra festival in Marktoberdorf. And I didn't have this, actually I enjoyed every single show, because I don't think, maybe I can, but no one from my choir maybe could go to I don't know what country and see this culture and visit all this country and get to know all this culture in like 2-3 days. I love this kind of festivals, because it can give you like just a hint of what you can see when you go deep. It can give you a reason why I want to go deep in this culture.
Oh, totally. But you are a professional, or you are very interested. It's like you visit this place where you can investigate the kidneys and the lungs and everything. It's really exciting.
Exactly. But if you have, but you have to go there to explore everything.
Yeah.
But to have the reason to go there, it's good to see.
No, I totally agree.
Something.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Well, it's really interesting that we came from music festivals into the anatomy room. But actually, your example also reminds me of what you shared with me, Hayat, or something I read. You believe that, you work in a music school, for a music school, and you think that we cannot just wait that people come to us and want to learn music, want to make music in our school. We should go out and reach them where they are. So maybe you can elaborate a bit on this idea.
Yeah, I wanted to react, and of course I wanted to go back to this question of access. Yeah, so I work for a communal music school. Yeah, that is, we want to reach everyone. But if you see inside of our structure, it's especially white people from the elite. Yeah, it's not really everyone. You reach everyone at school. Yeah, it's really heterogeneous because everyone must go to school, especially in the primary school. You find them all. So we've already developed many singing programs so that we can go to school and sing with it's especially singing, but we go to school and sing with the children there, yeah? Even if their parents don't know about it, but they sing, yeah? So they have a first contact to music in any sense. And then, yeah, it was one of my targets to find ways not only to reach little children, because that was quite easy, you know where they are. But what about the grown-ups, and what about those who aren't at school yet? Yeah, what about the parents, for example? And so we initiated two big programs. The first program is called Kiwi, Kinder- und Wiegenlieder aus aller Welt. Kiwi, children's songs and lullabies from all over the world. And we go to, especially to socially disadvantaged districts, and we sing once a week there. Yeah, we sing there once a week in the languages of the parents, yeah, in the family languages, in the mother tongues, and they don't need to pay. They don't need musical skills, and they don't need even reading competences. They just come, yeah, they don't need to sign up, yeah. All these filling in papers, blah, 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 blah. It's too much, yeah. So we try to provide a very, very low floor access for these people, yeah, and we sing with them, and we as teachers, yeah, we try to meet on the same level, because we too learn from them, yeah. We try to see them in their competences, so when we know he or she sings or knows a song from wherever it might be, yeah, we learn it too, yeah, and then, but it's to us as teachers to prepare these songs so that everyone can sing with us, so that it's a yeah, it's barrier free for everyone, yeah, not only for the one who knows the language. Yeah, that's the one program, and the other is of course my choir, where everyone can sing. So most of these about 40 women told me before joining our choir, but I can't sing. And I said, yes, it's okay. Just come, yeah, and it's no problem. And then that's the one thing I wanted to say. Yes, so let's find ways to find people, yeah, to see them all. Of course, we cannot see them all, but we can try to see them all. That's the one thing. And then I believe in cooperations, and I believe in finding weird, crazy cooperations. So the initial idea of the choir was a cooperation with a job center, yeah, the labor office. What has the labor office to do with singing? Actually, nothing. But what can we provide with singing? Yeah, by singing. So there's a lot. Yeah, there's the social aspect, there's the medical aspect, and there is of course the training of presentation, and then, fortunately, or that's what we hope, yeah, maybe they successfully pass their job interviews. So let's think about other ways, yeah, to use the skills we have, yeah, and that's why I have a dream. I have a dream. Well, I have a dream, and that is to have a cooperation with sports clubs. Yeah, that's my next, it's not my next project, but the next idea, yeah, because if you see football stadiums, they all sing. Why not going there and starting something there? And then the last point, because I wanted to come back to you, of course, by this choir, I meet many different people, and I learn a lot. And for example, as you said, yeah, we have this tradition of presenting things, yeah, performing and watching. But when I talk to one of my singers, she comes from Nigeria. She says, when I don't sing, I'm not alive. Singing belongs to the daily life. It belongs to daily life. Yeah. So it's not now I present this or that, but it's like breathing. It's nothing that you can separate from your life. And that's something that really impressed me when she talked about her relationship to this tool, yeah, singing.
Singing as belonging, being part of your daily life. is something that is not the case in Lebanon,
Exactly.
as we heard in your several presentations
Yes.
during the days,
Yeah.
where especially for women it's actually seen as haram, and
Yes.
so that's one other reality that you have to face. How do you empower young girls, women to sing with you? And another question also from what Hayat shared with us, Roula, you are working in refugee camps with young children, traumatized children. How is your relationship there with the parents, for example, and who is your ally in these refugee camps to bridge this relationship?
Yeah. So to start with women singing, for example, and our societies. I am one of these persons. I know I wanted to sing all my life, and I was very young when I asked my parents that I need to go to the conservatory and to learn to play oud and singing, Oriental singing. And they never encouraged me. It's like I didn't say anything. They never encouraged me. So, and we don't really have a lot of opportunities in our countries for music. And music is something, it's not prior at all. It's not a priority at all. It's like an extracurricular for people who are wealthy and in very good social level, and they send their children to learn music for their prestige, and they play piano and they play something like this. So, and I really wanted to sing badly. I wanted to sing. I remember I used to go in the kitchen, and I close the door, and I keep singing until I cry, and I get back. And I didn't have any place to like put out this energy until I heard about the choir, and I was 21 already. And I joined the choir, and I came to the house, 21. I was the last year university. And I told my parents that, I joined the choir today. And they, oh, really, you joined the choir? And you didn't ask us before? And I was like, go on. You are going to sing on stage? They sing on stage? It's like a taboo for them, you know? Their daughter will be on stage singing. It's not their fault, actually. I know it's because the image of, with all the media we have now, the image of singing and music, for parents especially, it's very bad. For them, if I'm going on stage, it means I will be a prostitute, exactly. I will become a prostitute later. So, and then through Hayat Choir, we really changed a lot of this because we could show that you can be on stage, you can be singing, even love songs, whatever you do, but still doing something very cultural, very, very clean, very classy, very, and now they are very encouraging. Now, actually, we were four, me, my sister and brother in the choir, everyone, and my mother and father, they went with us and sell CDs for the choir, so all the family was in the choir at the end. But this is not easy at all, to convince the society that it's okay if a girl is singing, it's okay. The problem is of the religion is also very... I remember also, I'm sorry, when I talk a lot, just tell me to stop. I have a lot of stories.
I would like to add something to that, because I would like to make a little difference. Music belongs to Arab life, yeah? Everyone sings at home, yeah? It's a difference if it's about performances on stage or at home, because I had many refugees, from Syria, from Lebanon, and so on, in my choir, and all knew. They all could sing, really. They all could sing, and they knew all the songs from the radio, from our older songs. Yeah, so music is there, and it belongs to daily life. But it's a difference if you want to present it. in front of an audience. I think it's
to take it as a
important
job
to say.
also.
Yeah, and as a job, of course, I had the same experience. Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so
you wanted to continue.
I remember. We had auditions in one Islamic school, and it was for girls. Then the directress of the school, she asked the conductor, who's a man, would you please, because to do the auditions, we let them all sing, and we are a team. We pass next to them and we hear them one by one. But we don't want them to sing alone, everyone, so they will be shy. They sing all together and we pass by. So she asked the conductor, who is like 50 years, and they are children, the girls' children, would you please not approach and not listen to them directly? Would you please ask Roula to do this instead of you, because you are not allowed to hear their voices. So there is still this... these things that we are trying to overpass, but it needs time because it's in religion, so it's sacred a little bit. And sometimes it's dangerous to go deep. So you have to really be very careful, and step by step, do it step by step. Yeah.
And the question about the parents.
Yeah,
have you been able to reach out
for the camp. You were saying. Usually our work was in cooperation with local organizations who contact everyone, who contact the person, in the camps in Lebanon. For every camp, there's one person, he's like the mayor, and if he doesn't like you, you cannot enter. Even if you have $1 million to pay to the camp, you will not go. So there's this key person who's very important, and everyone is, whatever he said, we do, because he paid them. They work for him. So we don't have any problem with any direct contact with the parents. It's always with the NGO who is working.
And you have not sought this contact proactively. You have never wished to.
It happened not in the camps, but in other social projects we had, and the feedback, the change actually you see with the parents when their children start to sing, and after like a couple of months. And at first, okay, what you're going to sing now? I don't have time to take you there. You don't have to go. Just come, and they work. They send the children to work, so they need the money. If they go to sing, then it means that they will not get the money for their parents also. But then I remember one mother who said they took my children as a little like chaotic child, and they get it back to me as a man. She meant that he like became mature, and he this meaning. They could see the difference before and after the choir, and their feedback for the reaction to the choir is very different 2 or 3 months after they started. Mm-hmm.
You mentioned an interesting and important thing, I think, the fact that, let's say, if you have a children's choir in the Netherlands, you will have only the children with parents who can afford to bring them and to do it, so they need to know about it, they need to value it, but they also need to have the time. Mm-hmm. So, especially, there is a lot of areas where both parents work. The children are on the street or at home, but no one takes care, and if you wish to include those children, you have to really a different approach. That's why in the Netherlands we have now some orchestras, but it's all in schools, because they know as soon as when it's after school, then let's say the poor children don't show up, and only the richer children are there. So. And yeah, that was their conclusion. Yeah, and basically also, Another thing, maybe about this selling CDs. There is also very often, sometimes hard to include certain people, especially if you want a project, but to give them a task, then they're there. So very often I organize a lot of, let's say, catering, but I only want volunteers to organize the catering. So then there is a lot of people to come to help, to join, instead of, let's say, have a professional a caterer. Then there is a whole group, people who are involved because they feel useful. Because to do something for the community only because it's nice, it's a choir, well, there is a lot of people who said, I don't care, I don't feel the use, but there needs to be coffee. I can make coffee, and then they feel useful.
It enhances the belonging also.
Yeah.
About the belonging.
It's a small step, and the end of it is a celebration with everything. The first step is, can someone make the coffee? Or sell the CDs?
Exactly.
Thank you already to the three of you. Maybe from participants in the room, you may have some questions, and I would like to give you the opportunity to ask questions. You may also wish to think first about it. I would have another question then for you. So let's take the example of someone who runs a choir, a children's choir, let's say, and wishes to open up to the community in which this choir is operating. I mean, that's maybe not the right word, but still make this connection with the community. I hear schools reaching out to the various schools. What else? What would you recommend to the manager or the artistic director, or which questions should oneself ask? Which reflections have about the aim?
Yeah.
To avoid intercultural misunderstanding. I mean, all these things. Which questions should we ask first, before?
Well, I know that there is a lot of people who want a project because they feel it's a good thing to make an inclusive event. So then someone is very passionate, think like, okay, we need to bring cultures together. But the people who are coming together, maybe they don't feel that as a problem. They have other problems in life, or they have other passions, other business, whatever. So very often, your reason, maybe as an organizer, will not be the same reason as the participants. To give the participant a great reason, and especially if there is a change, if a new building is opened, or if something is closed, or if there is a celebration, or if in your town maybe someone won an Olympic medal and will return home to welcome that person, to organize something and to have this as a special goal that can really help. So I think we need more, like a bigger story than only the ideal of inclusion, because that matters to us, because very often we can maybe see things in society, we can worry about things in society, but it might not be that prominent for people who are have different worries in their life.
Yeah, I think it's important to have partners. Yeah, I already said that I like corporations, and when I'm talking about partners, it can be institutions, but it can be single persons as well. So if I want to bring different, in my case, it's especially cultures, or cultural backgrounds. If I want to bring them together, it's good to have native speakers, and I'm not talking about speakers, but about people who know the symbols and the codes of a certain culture. It's good to have them with you, at your side, so that they can just, they are more sensitive to what's important right now or not. And as you just said, there are groups who first don't know why they should attend a choir because there are other problems, and so we have to to step aside or to go a step back and look on the whole. Yeah, what can be there? What can be good about this choir for a certain group or for a certain person? Yeah. So, yeah, in my opinion, it's good to have partners. Yeah. In my case, it was more or less this job center or an association who worked for which worked for the job center, or to have partners in form of single persons who know the codes and language and the symbols, yeah, and understand people better than I do, maybe.
Did the job agency help you identify your future singers, or how did you identify them?
And that's really...
How did they come to you?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a funny thing. I already said that it was a project for unemployed mothers, yeah, unemployed mothers with migration background, and they had to learn several skills in order to get a job. And we said, okay, we have this choir as well, and then they can learn to present themselves. That was the main aim. So it was not about singing. Yeah, if we had said, okay, we build a choir because it's joy and it's fun to be together, they wouldn't have financed us. Yeah, but we said, no, it's good to learn about your body, about your presentation, breathing, and self-consciousness and self-awareness. So there are a lot of positive aspects that could help for a job interview. Yeah, that's what we said, and so we got the money to pay me in that case. And the beautiful thing that happened in this project, the projects always endured 6 months, like that, 6 months or a year, yeah, at the first beginning. And what happened was a shift of the role of the women in this project. Yeah, first they were the unemployed women, and after the first concert or after the first performance, they were the singers. They weren't the unemployed anymore. So when people from the audience came to me and asked me about certain women in the choir, they didn't say, "Oh, who's that unemployed woman?" Yeah, they said, "Who's that singer?" And even the singers themselves experienced it. Yeah, later they told me about their families, what happened in their own families. So I give one example. One singer in my choir, originally from Turkey, she was an analphabet, and her husband always told her, "Oh, you don't know anything, and you're so you're unworthy, blah 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 blah." And then they divorced. And one day after a performance, she was on TV, and everyone of her family saw her on the screen. And suddenly, her ex-husband began to tell people in his family, "Oh, that's my wife. She's a singer. That is my wife. She's a singer." And when she was with him, she said, "Ex-wife." Yeah, but that's something that happened in that group. Yeah, and it's really it's very interesting what happens. So with your own identity from a deficit point of view, yeah, to something that people appreciate and that you yourself appreciate as well. Yeah, that's really interesting.
I think it's also important, I think you said it in the beginning, it's not so much coming to a project with the deficit approach, but we all have competences, different competences, and it's about being able to bringing those competences to light and bringing them together. I think that's also the importance of, especially in collective singing, in a team, in a band, wherever it's about teamwork, so to say. And each one becomes better and stronger because there's someone to the left and there's someone to the right. I think this is important. Do we still have time, or? Okay, thank you. So is there a question now? Yes. And we have a mic somewhere? Or the live stream is over? I don't know, but let's see. Please.
Okay, thank you. No, I just wanted to say that I so much relate to your story about the unemployed mothers. I used to coordinate a project with unemployed women who had very little education to help them find a job, and I wish I had known about the combination of singing, because that would have made it so much stronger. I think I resonate so much with what you say about what it does with women, with their families, with their whole environment, with their... Yeah, so I love that, yeah. And from that experience, I later became a conductor, and I specialize in South African choral music. So I wanted to start a South African choir in the Netherlands. I live here. And then I wanted it to be like South Africa, ideal of a rainbow nation, so very mixed choir. But we had to start the choir like it was before the summer holidays, and we wanted to start in September. So we were in a rush, and by trying to find members of the choir, they were all copies of me, like a white a woman of a certain age. And then it was very difficult to make it more mixed afterwards. So I really learned, if you want to have a mixed choir, whether it's based on skin color or whatever mix you want to find, you need to start with the minority, let's say, that they are already in place, and then other people can come and maybe even have a quota. I've learned from choirs that work with people with disabilities. It always needs to have a certain percentage of people with disabilities. Otherwise, if it's too few, they will go out at a certain point.
Yeah, if you grow a tree and halfway you think, oh, I should have more brown leaves, it will never work, but it should be in the seed. So in the DNA, in the seed, if you start a project, that should be a diverse or inclusive seed, and then it can grow out to bigger. But it's very hard to import it later or to patch it on,
I think this goes back to the co-creation idea that you mentioned from the beginning, to also talk with everybody, with those whom you want to bring on board, what their expectations are, and how they would feel involved, and to come to a common understanding, as with every project actually. But it's about having that everybody has a common understanding of what we are doing, what we want to do, and a shared aim.
Yeah, and also I resonate with what you said. It's all of you actually maybe, that it's a very a strange concept to have a choir that comes once a week to sing for 2 hours and then that's it. Rather than, well, we just sing, and if we feel like it, we come together and we sing, or we are together and then it happens that we sing. So the whole concept of a choir is also an odd thing for some people, yeah.
We also have a live question.
Yes. Julia has a question.
Okay, but we don't have enough time. Okay, so we have a question from Ms. Margarita Mestre. This is a general question. How actually you choose the repertoire, and who actually chooses the repertoire in your choirs in order to make it a very transformative experience?
So it's a question to everybody, I understand?
Yes.
Who would like to start?
I will start because we don't have repertoire, so I will start. No, the problem in Arab countries is that we don't have written music, so it's transmitted orally. So what we're trying to do in Fayha Choir is to write this, to archive our music, especially the arrangements for choirs also. But for children, we have very, very few songs, but this is something we really need to think about, because repertoire is very, very important.
I'm not sure, might be a misunderstanding. I think the question is not so much about repertoire, but program.
No,
repertoire.
No,
Because
actually, a repertoire. Yeah, the lyrics probably are important also here. The transformative effect is asked here.
When we work with Syrian, for example, we make sure that we made them sing Syrian heritage. With Palestinian, we make sure that they are singing Palestinian, because this is what I was talking about, that you have to enhance this feeling of belonging to them. Also, so they need to preserve their own heritage, so they keep it inside and they develop it, and so this is very important. When we choose the repertoire, it's related to the singers always.
and Hayat, for the WOW choir,
Yeah. So we sing in the languages that the women bring, and if they have ideas of songs, they can bring them, and I prepare them in a way so that everyone can sing with us. But usually it's me who chooses the songs, and then I ask the competences. Yes, so we always have someone who knows the language and who can help us with the pronunciation. And as I said, everyone sings everything. Yeah, there is no exclusion. Everyone sings everything, and that's why others join our choir, because then they hear that even people who don't come from their culture or from their language or from their country sing their songs, and it's such a touching thing to happen that they decide to come. Yeah, because it's a very high appreciation of language, of culture, and so on.
and of the diversity of musical expressions, so to say, which brings us back to diversity. I guess time is over.
Yes,
Or
the
can we
time is
have
over.
a last question.
I think we can do like this. We can finish the live streaming,
Okay.
and then we can continue as a conversation in between.
Okay, fair enough. Well, thank you very much. If the live stream is over now, I still want to thank, before we have the last question, but really thank you for sharing, for your generosity in sharing. It's so important. And we had a lot of personal stories. We heard a lot of personal stories, personal commitment. We went into the anatomy room with the festival, but just thank you already very much, because maybe some will leave.